You mean I'm not supposed to do that? Good afternoon. So I was reading an article about bidding wars and mistakes, and I feel like I've had a lot of experience with that. I've been on the losing end of many bidding wars. And I'm not happy about it. I that's all you can do is laugh. It's a crazy market, and I wanted to go over the article with you and see if I agreed with it. And I have 3 bonus home buyer bidding war mistakes that we're going to go over at the end. So stick around for that. Here we go. All right. It says 7 bidding war mistakes today's home buyers are making in droves. So the idea here is that if you don't make a bidding war mistake, you'll get the house. Dicey in this market. Okay, so number 1, bidding every last penny you have. It says the market in Seattle is so competitive these days that houses go for tens of thousands of dollars above the list price. I've had buyers who want to bid all the money in their budget in order to win a bidding war, and I counseled them away from it. Why? It says the house may require tens of thousands of dollars worth of repairs immediately, like a new roof or new plumbing. They would have no money left to cover these essential repairs. It says in a heated market, the appraisal may come in low. That means the bank's appraisal says the home is worth less than what you've agreed to pay for it. Then you need a higher down payment to make up the difference. And then it says what to do instead. It says, unless my clients have families who can give them extra funds, I advise them to hold back 10 to 40% beyond what they can actually afford. If it's a young couple who are out on their own, for example, and they have no other financial resources, I tell them, maybe this is just not the house for you. There will be others. And I was thinking, man, it's definitely a mistake. I agree with that. I mean, what happens when the house doesn't appraise? I mean, what we're seeing here is when the house, when you put in an offer, the listing agents are asking for like a bank statement or something that shows that you have enough money to cover the appraisal gap. And so it's very problematic. Bidding the last penny you have is no good, but I don't know. I mean, that's bad agenting if you're telling your clients to do that. So I don't advise that. That doesn't make any sense. Number 2, bidding with many contingencies. It says you should never get involved in a bidding war before your financing is placed and you know exactly where your money's coming from. Wow, that's interesting. This one says this one fellow, a Las Vegas real estate investor who has been involved in numerous bidding wars and won most of them. So I guess he's just better at it than I am. He especially advises against having your offer be contingent upon the sale of your current house. Well, that would be a terrible idea in this market. Terrible. The seller will always pick the bid with the fewest uncertainties. He recalls that he once won a bidding war on a Huntington Beach home with the 3rd highest offer it received. The reason? He was an all-cash buyer, which meant quick and seamless closing. It says most of us aren't in a position to offer cash, but we can get pre-approved by a lender before we go into the bidding war. We can also make sure the sale of our current house doesn't enter into the deal. You could sell and rent prior to bidding on a new house or possibly sell and request a leaseback agreement from the owner. Don't do any of that. It's seldom all about price. Find out what else is important to the seller and try to accommodate that better than anyone else. So one of the things that I do is I ask a simple question. When do you want to close? Sometimes people don't want to close for 60 days, 90 days, and I'm normally closing in 30. So that's an issue. I agree, though. Don't put too many contingencies in an offer, especially when you know that you're in competition with other people. I mean, that's what makes it really strange is what makes you think that the sellers are going to take your offer over someone else's that has fewer contingencies? It just doesn't make any sense for them. And so the next one is bidding with no contingencies. That's number 3. So these 2 people have seen buyers get so excited while bidding that they release all contingencies. That includes waiving the right to a home inspection and the ability to back out of a deal if the inspection reveals major flaws. It says what to do instead. If buyers want to be competitive in this market, they need to compromise on a lot of things, but the inspection is not one of them. If you win the bid on a house that's crumbling and you can't back out, it's no win at all. Instead, bid as high as you can comfortably afford and make compromises on the things like the length of escrow and the down payment, but never ever sacrifice the right to inspection as a negotiation point. And all I can tell you about that is in St. Louis is you will lose every single offer. There will be somebody that waives the inspection clause. Now, what I do is I say that inspections are for informational purposes only. So we know at least what's going on in the house before we get it. But you're not going to get a house in this market for the most part, on a very nice looking house, unless you waive, a lot of the contingencies, a lot of them. So that's what I've got on that one. Number 4, assuming you'll get a second chance. Now, this is a weird thing, and I think this is regional. It says here in the Chicagoland area, bidding wars just won't quit. Very often we see hopeful buyers lose out on their second chance. Prospective buyers think they'll have more chances to raise their bid if needed, and they're often wrong about that. It says, if you find yourself in a multiple bid situation, I recommend you writing your bid as if you will not have a second chance to negotiate. Consider it one and done. That's exactly right. It's always confused me why some agent will call for a highest and best, okay, especially in a multiple bidding war situation like we have now. I mean, what are you doing? If you're not putting in your highest and best now, what in the world? It doesn't make any sense. I just don't understand. So anyway, number 5, using the term best and final offer. You see people using this term on real estate reality TV shows, but what works on television doesn't always work in real life. In a bidding war, negotiations are never over till the seller is ready to throw in the towel. I don't even understand this. The best and final offer to me, that's never made any sense. If I were to threaten that as the buyer, even in a bad market, the seller would just be like, okay. It's very seldom ever a good idea to say that this your best and final offer. And I'm shocked that people are trying it in this market. Number 6, the using of an escalation clause. An escalation clause automatically increases your purchase offer by a certain amount above all competing offers. This continues until the price reaches the maximum price you've determined you're willing to pay for a home. It says, our agents are not big fans of escalation clauses. The clause puts the bidding beyond you or your agent's control. Also, it doesn't take into consideration valuable contingencies behind price that you or other bidders may be willing to add. We recommend clients give a very strong offer right from the start to be able to stand out from the competition. Make a strong entrance with a high bid and you'll never be forgotten. I couldn't disagree with this strategy more. Let me tell you, I've got 2 houses right now that I've got offers in for this weekend. One, there's an escalation clause, and one, there's no escalation clause. On the house that there's no escalation clause, I have no idea if we're going to get the house. It's not a house that's easy to price, okay? And God only knows how many other people are going to bid on the house. I don't feel comfortable at all with that one. Whereas with the escalation clause one, we bid to where we're comfortable at that number. If we get less than that, okay, if the house somehow gets to us for less than that, we feel great. And if we lose out to the house, we tried. We made an effort. So using an escalation clause in St. Louis, Missouri at this time right now, you're going to have to use one. And use it. Use it to your advantage. Then there's number 7, not knowing a home's true value. This is a very fascinating issue. Some buyers are hesitant to offer above the asking price in a bidding war, thinking that the home is not worth more than that, but they don't realize that sellers often intentionally price their home slightly below its true value to get a bidding war going and have potential buyers drive the price much higher in the heat of competition. Here's what I see. Do sellers price their houses lower in this market? A little bit, sometimes yes. But the idea that you would go in below, if you know that you've got multiple offers and you're a buyer, what are you doing going in at below asking? You think everyone, if there's 30 people buying this house or making an effort to buy this house, you think they're all going to go below asking? It doesn't make any sense. But here it says, here's what you're supposed to do. Numbers and proven stats that take into consideration the lack of inventory, market trends, how much the price of properties have increased in certain areas over time. This will give you a better understanding of that property's worth. But that's looking at comps, okay? In the situation with escalation clauses, you could have, who knows what the right value is on that house. So I'm at a loss for that, because the idea that you're gonna have a good number, it's just not where we're at right now. In theory, isn't the true value what someone agrees to pay at an arm's length transaction? Then why is it that appraisals don't come in at that price? It makes you wonder. I advise my buyers to pick a number where if they got the house, they could still sleep at night. And it's a way better plan than winning a war, but ultimately losing in the end because your finances can't take it. Now, I have my bonus tips, and so we're going to go to a different screen here. Go here for the bonus tips. Now, this is number 8. This is the one I came up with. It's bidding with no idea of affordability. Some buyers will easily qualify at an asking price, but they have no idea just how badly they might be affected by things like fluctuation in mortgage rates between when they were pre-approved and when they actually write an offer to purchase on a home. You need to know your limit before you submit an offer. So what I've seen, especially in this market right now, is we had very low interest rates, and within 2 or 3 weeks, the interest rates have changed dramatically. And so what that's doing is changing what people can basically afford. And they're not cognizant of it. Maybe their lender isn't keeping up with them and talking with them about what their monthly payments might look like. And so they're still trying to make offers on houses that they could be $700 to $1,000 difference in their offer. I mean, it's a very big swing. So make sure that you at least are close to figuring out, what the rates are. Number 9, making a high bid on a home just to win the war, but not really filling the house. Now, this is weird, but some people are competitive. Some people hate to lose. When these people try to buy a house, it's usually not a great plan. Why? They lose sight of the fact that they really don't like the house at all that much, but they want to win the battle anyway. This can lead to a terrible case of buyer's remorse. When you're making an offer, be sure that this is actually the house that you want, and that you can always put an offer on another house. Winning just to win is a terrible strategy when looking to buy the house. And this, I know this is happening out there. It's like somehow you can tell your friends that you paid more than anyone else on a property, and that makes you feel better about yourself. But it's a very, very dangerous strategy, and it's going to lead to buyer's remorse. And then finally, the last one is entering a bidding war on a house that you've never physically seen. Now, I get it. Every weekend, I see some agent in an open house with their iPhone showing a buyer across the country a house. And look, I know that the agent is doing the best that they can. And I understand that the buyer may not be able to be in town, but especially in this market, making offers on homes with escalation clause and offers above asking without ever physically seeing the home in person is a disaster. Don't do it. I know people say the technology is here and that you'll be fine. There's just something about going to a house in person, though. You get a sense of the neighborhood. You get a sense of the commute. These just can't be replaced by an iPhone. So, I know you want to. I know everyone's saying like, oh, we've entered this place. We can do virtual tours and everything else. But what you're not understanding is, look, virtual tours are created by the listing agent. They're not going to show you the crappy parts of the house in a virtual tour. They're going to hide them just like they do with the pictures. And if you've ever seen a house that looks exactly like the pictures, congratulations, because it doesn't happen very often. So these are the things that I think you should pay attention to on a bidding war. I don't necessarily agree that you shouldn't have an escalation clause. And if everybody else has one and you don't, you're not going to get the house. So take it with a grain of salt. But I thought it was a fascinating article. I thought it was a good way to talk about what's really going on today in the market. So I'd like if you enjoyed this content, if you just go ahead and hit the subscribe button. To be honest, I don't care if you never watch again. I need subscribers. I've got 61 subscribers. I've been stuck on that for like 2 months, and I would just appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button for me. With that being said, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.